let's play a quick game. Put one of your hands up because we're going to be playing Never Have I Ever.
I'll go first. Never have I ever woken up at 5 a.m. to attend a philosophy class that begins at 7 a.m., only to spend the next 8 or so hours in and out of core classes, then leave school to immediately clock in for a 5-hour shift, get home around 10, give or take. Instead of taking care of the homework, chores, and personal hygiene basics in front of you, you rot in bed and watch a 2-hour-long video essay about the dangerous conditions during the production of the Wizard of Oz movie until you pass out from exhaustion. If you have one finger down, either are me or relate to something similar. It most likely experienced a phenomenon known as revenge bedtime procrastination, which, according to the Sleep Foundation, describes the decision to sacrifice sleep for leisure time that is driven by a daily schedule that lacks it. For most, this means that the lack of sleep you got from the night before affects your work the next day to a noticeable negative degree. The work that you put off in order to relish in the wonders of useless knowledge before bed catches up to you pretty quickly, resulting in revenge bedtime procrastination taking hold night after night due to stress. But avoidance does not stop there. Delaying activities is a much bigger problem, one that affects all of our lives. So first, let's look at what we've been avoiding. Next, we'll discover why we try to distract ourselves in the first place, before finally finding ways to take action and overcome what we put off. Procrastination is not as simple as laziness. Instead, it's a behavior that is caused by the stress we experience in our lives and tends to be the product of a much bigger problem. If a person tends to procrastinate, they're more likely to have ADHD, anxiety, depression, or some other mental health condition. Procrastination can be a simple thing someone is pushing off, like paying monthly bills, going to the gym, doing laundry, or studying, all seemingly meaningless activities. While this initial avoidance is easy, the aftermath allows for greater consequences. When someone puts off paying their bills, for example, they live worry-free for a moment, but soon the debt piles up, leading to more stress and more anxiety about the growing number looming above them. Many people rely on avoidance as a coping mechanism, which can seem like the easier path compared to confrontation, but avoidance can be harmful in the long run, and that leads to more unhealthy habits. Procrastination doesn't just exist on a small scale, though, and when put in a bigger scope, the problems become worse. Take climate change, with reports saying that time is running out to turn the tide towards a more sustainable future. However, countries like the United States still use plastic bags and oil. France has seen an increase in fuel taxes, and China continues to construct coal-fired power plants. If the situation is so dire, why are we not taking steps to fix it directly? Joseph Cable, a psychology professor, says, "The circumstances around climate change are a perfect storm of features that leads us to not act." According to Cable, humans value future outcomes less than immediate consequences. Our cave person ancestors are designed to worry about their next meal, not whether their cell phone usage would drown New Orleans. Because the effects of climate change are gradual and have not impacted the globe all at once, humans are less likely to act because of our natural bias to avoid. But avoidance is not always a completely conscious decision. Instead, the tendency to procrastinate can be due to biology. Procrastination is caused when two parts of the brain, the limbic system and the prefrontal cortex, go directly against each other. The prefrontal cortex is the brain's internal planner, while the limbic system produces pleasure. It is typical for our brain to chase positive neurotransmitters and chemicals such as serotonin and dopamine. When something comes up that sparks fear or anxiety, the brain will switch on both systems. When you put off a task, the limbic system ends up winning the battle since you avoided a threat. This grants a period of temporary relief due to the release of dopamine. But why does this happen? The limbic system is one of the oldest and most dominant parts of the brain. Its job is to allow you to survive and keep you safe. This is part of the effect that is described as the caveman's brain. Caveman's brain is the part of your brain that is used in responses like fight or flight, better known as our instincts. During a different time, the system saved lives, helping cave people to escape danger when needed. But now we're in a modern world where situations that our brains deem as threats present no real physiological harm. An important task like a college application influences the same feeling of dread that a predator would have thousands of years ago. So the brain treats it as such. Bigger problems like climate change are even more avoided because the problem requires resources and knowledge that people don't commonly possess, causing people to push their problems away to avoid taking action, and will only come back to be a bigger issue. While procrastination feels like it can't be fixed, there are solutions. The first is therapy. Cognitive behavioral therapy is one of the most beneficial ways to help someone not procrastinate. CBT allows an individual to explore how their thoughts and feelings connect, and by changing them, they change their attitude. A 2016 study that analyzed procrastination showed that half of students in the US are impacted by procrastination and can be helped by some form of cognitive therapy. One Brown study writes, "Our minds learn through reward-based learning. Paradoxically, mindfulness taps right into the reward-based process to help us step out of it," says Judson Brewer, the Director of Research and Innovation at Brown University. He also says, "The standard habit loop is a trigger behavior reward cycle. It's set up for survival. You see food, you eat food, and your stomach sends a dopamine signal to the brain about what you ate and where you found it. But that same thing drives anxiety and worry, and also procrastination. It's set up as a habit loop. It just works the other way around. But how do we fix bigger procrastination issues like this? The solution is not as simple as reorienting thoughts. Instead, it requires a sequence of action, correction, and completion. To truly reverse a habit of this nature, it would start with action. If this was homework, the first step would be opening your laptop and answering the first question. Next is correction. If this was an attempt at implementing a workout routine, correction would look like not rewarding yourself until you go to the gym. Finally, completion. Adding a reward for completing tasks to help drill them into the mind, like giving yourself a movie night after completing a large project at work. For larger scale issues, this can take weeks, months, or years, and can feel like there is no real benefit. But the result is worth the wait. So, what are you waiting for? Go take action.